Alright guys, so hopefully you found Mr. Haybecker's video very insightful, very helpful. We're going to take a look now at an example of a rectangle that we need to find the area of, and this rectangle has mixed numbers for both sides, both the length and the width. And we're going to take a look at the two different styles, I guess you could say, that we could use, the two different strategies that we could use, one being the area model, or that distributive kind of property, that strategy there, and the other one we're going to just straight up multiply the fractions using turning the fractions into improper fractions and then multiplying across. And neither one of these is right versus wrong. They're both valid, and we're both going to get the correct answer with both of these strategies. It's just going to depend on either which one you're more comfortable with or which one you think better fits this situation that you're in. Okay, so let me go ahead. I'm going to do the area model first, and then we'll come over here and do the multiplying the fractions. Okay. Alright, so we have two different rectangles here, two different strategies that we're going to try out. We're going to do the area model first, the distributive property, right? And then we're going to come over here and work on just multiplying those fractions, turning them to the improper fractions, and then kind of going from there and just multiplying across, right? So let's start over here with the area model, because that's the one we're more familiar with. And in the area model, what I did already is I kind of broke this down. So our rectangle here, the width of this rectangle, if you want to call it that, was 4 1/4 of an inch, 4 1/4 of an inch. So what I did was I split it to the whole number in the fraction. So I have my 4 and I have my 1/4. Did the same thing here for my length, which was 16.5. I split it at 16.5. I split my whole number in my fraction. So what we want to do is we want to find the area of each one of these rectangles here and then add them all together to get our total area. So to do that, I'm going to start here. I'm going to do 16 times 4. If I do 16 times 4, that's going to give me, what will that give me? That will give me 64 inches squared. So we'll put that here. I'm also going to write it here in my rectangle, 64 inches squared. Perfect. If I were to come down to my next rectangle here, I'd have to do 16 times 1/4. 16 times 1/4. And if I did 16 times 1/4, well, that'd be 16 times 1, which would be 16 fourths, which would be equal to 4, because 4 can go into 16 4 times. So this would be 4 inches squared. Then I would come over here. I could do 4 times 1/2. 4 times 1/2, which is 4 times 1 is 4. So 4 halves, basically, which is also 2. 2 goes into 4 2 times. Perfect. So this guy would be 2. And then we could do 1/4 times 1/2. And 1/4 times 1/2. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. So this guy here would be 1/8. 1/8. Perfect. So I have those 4 areas now, and now I just have to add up those areas to get the total area of this shape. So I would have to add up 64 plus 4 plus 2, and then I'm going to add the fraction in last. So let's do this first. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 2 more is 10, and 6 and 1 is 7, and then I still had that 1/8 there, so 70 and 1/8. So my area is going to be equal to 70 and 1/8 inches squared. So that's my total area. So I was able to find that pretty easily. There was a lot of steps involved, right? Because I had to find each one of these areas and then add them all together. But numbers weren't too terrible to deal with. I just had to write it down and keep track of what I was doing. And to be honest, my personal opinion, and again, you guys are welcome to whatever opinions you have, but I like this one because it helps me keep track of what I'm doing in the steps that I'm taking, okay? Not too terrible there for at least this situation. Had the numbers been different, I might have wanted to choose something else, okay? Might have wanted to go with the multiplying fractions because it would have been a lot to keep track of the other way. So let's jump over here. Let's do the same dimensions, but let's do it now with multiplying fractions. So if I started with that 16.5 for my length, 16.5 inches, and I was over here with 4 1/4 inches. Alright, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn these both into improper fractions, okay? So let's see, 2 times 16 would be 32, plus 1 more would be 33. So this is going to be 33 halves. And then if I came over here, 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 more is 17. So this would be 17 fourths. Okay, cool. So far, so good. Now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to multiply these two numbers. So I'm going to take my 33 halves, and I'm going to multiply that by 17 fourths. And right off the bat, I can't do that in my head, so I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna do 33 times 17. So let's see, 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 2 more is 22, 23. So this would be 231. Put my placeholder here because now I'm going to do my tens. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Add these guys together, and I'm going to get 561. So this would be 561 eighths. So I got my answer, 561 inches squared, which is good, but can't really visualize that, right? So I think we're going to have to rewrite this improper fraction here as a mixed number to make it make a little more sense. So let's see how many times 8 can go into 561. So we're going to have to do some straight up division there because I don't know that off the top of my head either. So 8 into 5, can't do that. 8 into 56, oh, we can go 7 times. So 8 times 7 is 56. Subtract from there, we're left with 0, bring down the 1, and it can't go in there at all. And we're going to be left with basically 7 1/8. So we're going to get the same answer, okay? Our area over here is going to be the same thing. Area equals 70 1/8, which is awesome. And it both worked out the same way. Over here, we were dealing with some pretty big numbers once we had to multiply across. And that's okay. If you're cool with that, if you like the multiplication that way, that's fine. But over here, we kind of kept it smaller, which is you know, just another preference that you might have. So what I would recommend is before you decide, yeah, I'm going to do this strategy every time, you might want to just keep in mind the different scenarios that you might come across and what method might be better for which scenario. If the numbers are small, fraction multiplication might be the better way to go, okay? If you're ending up with fractions that are, you know, going to be smaller than this, and the 33 halves and the 17 fourths, that might be the way to go. If the numbers are bigger and you're going to have maybe trouble keeping track of your numbers, the area model might be the better method for you. So it's totally up to you. It's what your preference is and what would best fit that situation or that scenario. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this is building some different strategies for you guys. Another thing to add to the toolkit. Another thing that you can use when you're multiplying mixed numbers. So I appreciate you guys for watching me, for watching Mr. Haybecker, for practicing along with us. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out. That's what I'm here for. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you soon.